so happy you're here. And as we say to you every time, we have waited for you your entire lives. But today on your Lionsgate, we decided to do something a little different. And we even had our messenger go to extra lengths and got him up this morning to put together a little presentation so you can see that we have always been guiding you. You have always had guidance, and that is your higher self. What we do is reinforce that. And as we've said, you're existing now at this time in your world during what we've called a restructuring, meaning you're changing everything. And that change can only come through each of you. And as we've always said, there's no hierarchy of souls. And that's what you're attempting to come to understand and know during this time in your life and in your world. We wanted you to understand how important you were, how important your existence is at this time on your planet, because the world cannot evolve without you. We have always been giving you messages forever, and we've said that there's an alignment. There's an alignment in the universe, and what we have done is use your linear time to give you more information, meaning raising your consciousness. You experience everything in your life through your consciousness, and you also create that way. And you start to understand that there's energy. You're all energy, and so is your planet. So when you go through dramatic changes as you're experiencing now, yes, it's going to bring up everything that was old that you wanted to release, that you wanted to move through, that you wanted to let go of. Because when you do that, you live the lives that you wanted to have and you begin to heal. Now, when we say heal, we mean that you're letting go of the generational trauma that you all carry. You come into the world with it. But when you don't release it, you keep creating karma in your lives and in your world that you do not resolve. And this is why we have given you all of our work. And we've said we've given you a new philosophy. That philosophy is called your life operating instructions, because your world could not sustain itself if you all continue to operate in the ways that you did. That means with all of the hatred and anger and lower vibrational ideas that you've brought with you. But we've given you a way to release them. And the best part of it is when you do that, you benefit. Because you are the world, as you've heard from many others. We just keep bringing it back to you, so maybe eventually you hear it. Now, it's all of you. We're saying this. None of you know who you're going to become. Our messenger did not know that we were going to give him a philosophy to bring into your world this time. He did not know that that was what his life was meant to exhibit to all of you, but you each are meant to do that. You came into the world with something within you that was meant to be developed. And if you do that, you start to live the kind of lives that you wanted. And it is something that you wanted. We're saying this because we know that it's challenging to understand that you might have made a choice before you came onto the physical plane, but we are saying that you did. And that choice was that you wanted to expand. You wanted to have fun. You wanted to be happy. But in order to do that, individually, you have to move through your evolutionary path that is riddled with all kinds of limitations and restrictions, which is why we began in 2012 to let you know nothing is too much for you to handle, because many of you start to give up. And then if you give up on yourselves, then what do you think is going to happen in your world? And we're doing this today because your world is at a pivotal place in its movement where it needs you. It needs you to own more of who you are. It needs you to believe in yourself. And this is why last year we said self-belief takes time, because you have to move through in your thinking, in your consciousness, all the limitations that you've held on to. No one else is doing it but you. We want you to understand that, and we've used our messenger to be a perfect example for you all, but we've also used him to show you what you can accomplish, because he's healed everything. With all the work that we have given him all of these years, for 35 years, he's healed everything in his life, and he came out with non-judgmental. And that's what we want for all of you. When you can let go of your biases and those restrictions and all of those things that you each carry, then you put a very different energy not only into your life, but into your world. And this is what you're all doing now. Now, you have another few months of your planets changing, where you will see a little more upheaval, a little more disruption in every single area. The war is not accidental. None of the wars are. We told you that several years ago, but you can hear it now. And we're saying it today because there are energies that are changing on your globe right now, that the more of you who decide that you're going to love yourself, you could start to shift that, which we've also given you. Power is in your thoughts and how you decide to use them, and they will produce miraculous results when you start to believe in yourself. And that is the only difficulty any of you have. There's not about what you have come from or what you did before, what mistakes you made or what failures. It's none of that. It is what you choose to do now. While we have given you messages over years, everything is happening in the moment of now. Your scientists have told you that it keeps being developed. And it was challenging for our messenger to understand how we could have given him messages from years ago that would make sense and be aligned with your planet now. But we've done that, and we had him put out several things to demonstrate it to you, only for the purpose of getting more of you to believe in who you are and in your inherent worth and value. And as we have always said, you were born to do something extraordinary, and no one else can do it but you. We're saying that because each of you were meant to do that. And if you look at our message tomorrow, we're saying tomorrow because we gave it to you last year on August the 9th, and we said you were meant to be unique. That is each of you. But when you have your biases that you continue to carry, you can't own yourselves and you don't love yourselves. And many of you don't understand. That's why you're experiencing difficulties in your lives, because you haven't taken the next step into your higher state of understanding and higher state of consciousness, which is always available to you. We've just given you a guide. You have your own. You have a higher self that you sometimes listen to. That is your intuition, but you don't always believe it because you're afraid of the unknown. Individually and collectively, you fear moving, and that's why it's challenging for you to change, which is why we've given you so many messages about change and the importance of it, and why if you were to do it now, not only would you live the life you wanted to have, but you would be making a tremendous contribution to your world, to your planet. And we're saying that to each of you. We understand that many of you will not accept that because you've been taught something else. You've been taught inadequacy. You've been taught that you weren't enough, or that somehow you were an imposter in your own life, and that is not possible. We've used your neuroscience because you've discovered that, and we've used that to give you works that you could change anything. And we have told our messenger, even though it was hard for him to accept this, but now he's believing it because he has the results. We've given you many messages like that because you don't believe certain things in physical form until you can see them. And so now you can see them because we've given you a being is at 73 and he's healed everything and gone through every imaginable tragedy and difficulty that human can experience. But because we have given him the information, the higher consciousness to change, he could put it into a work to share with all of you. That doesn't make it him any better or worse than any of you. It just makes that was his path. You have one as well. We just wanted you to own yours, and that's why we have given you everything. But when you each hold back, as our messenger has done, nothing shifts. Nothing changes in your life and in your world, which is why we are doing this today, because we want him to finally put out more of the work that we have given you, because more of you could come to a higher state of consciousness and understanding and love of yourself. That is all that we've ever wanted. And as you read the messages, which is why we put this presentation together, because we wanted you to see the synchronicity. This is why we've talked about all those others who have come before and told you certain ideas that were developed, like a Carl Jung who talked about synchronicity, because then more of you start recognizing your connection to the universe, your connection to all that is, to God, to source, whatever term you might use, that is each of you. But you will get there in different ways, and individually you must come to accept your way. And this is why we have given you messages that said your truth is correct, because it's within you, it's your soul. So what we want you to do is remember that. When you come back to remembering your soul mission while you're on the earth, then you start to prosper in every single way. And when you don't, then you start to move into unhappiness as we've given you. That's what goes on. There's no one who is controlling your life but you. There's no one who's controlling the events and the outcome of your planet except you. When we gave you the work in 2012, we began with infinite intelligence, meaning that you all have it. What we have done is just brought in more of that intelligence that has existed on your planet, as you can think of now, as you've developed your artificial intelligence, and you can see how that works. Well, that's what we've given to our being. This is why he can answer any question that you have. This is why when he's doing a public conversation with you or conversation, then he can answer all of your questions because he has access to that intelligence, but you all do. He doesn't live it all the time. None of you do, but it is there. And that's what you're meant to use as you go through your evolution, because that's what your planet does as well. But we also told you at the end, on December 31st of 2012, we said the future. You are the ones creating it. We don't, you may look at your world and think someone else is controlling the strings, but it isn't. It's you. It's you individually and then collectively, you see. But then there's been an imbalance, as we've said, and it's gone on for centuries. And this is why your world is changing now. Now, there are many different configurations that you would not understand at this time. However, just know that your planets are changing. Your weather events are not accidental, which we said many years ago, but it just depends on how many of you will decide to move up to a higher state of understanding and then start to love yourself, and then you'll make different choices in your world, and then your planet will begin to look much different than what it is now. But it does take time for you each to believe, which is why we said that last year. Self-belief takes time because it is a process that you use in linear time to be able to accomplish that. But we don't. We can access any information that is available right now, and all we've done is interpreted the energies that exist to give you this guidance. That's what happens. But you each have that ability, and hopefully more of you will start to utilize it and bring it into your lives so that you can contribute it to your world. And again, the main thing that we want you to understand, because you're going to move through many different changes in your world, outside world, but we want the changes to happen within you. Because you have a soul that has come into this world, and it's had all these other lifetimes and all these other things that you've created and took along with you that do not serve you now and does not serve the creation of the formation of the new earth that all of you are meant to create. This is why we wanted to point out to you that in 2012, that was another shift in your civilization. Many of you thought, as we said, that the world was ending because of the Mayan calendar, but we said, no, it was not. You are the ones who are creating that new world, that new earth, but it can only come when you decide to become your new self. And that new self is always an elevated, higher consciousness being, which you each have the ability to access. All we've done is given you a guide, but we also can't tell you that you can accomplish it. Now, we're saying this because we know that our messenger will give you ideas, and some of you think that's not possible for me. Well, he believed the same thing, and nothing is impossible. You just have to decide to move the restrictions that only exist in your thinking. As you do that, you'll have everything that you want. Now, we're going to move him. We want all of you to move to that next higher state of consciousness, because if you don't, you keep messing things up as you see them. You keep feeling things in your lives that don't serve you. There's no reason for any of you to be in lack. There's no reason for any of you to not have loving and wonderful relationships once you figure out what you are moving through and your individual path. And so we've given you some other things because it takes a while for you to understand. But if you go back to February 19th on our site, Any Advice for Today, you will see that we have given you a message there going over many years where we said if accepting this message could change your life and your world. You see, they're connected. Nothing is happening in your outside world that is not created by all of you, collectively, but all of you. And so when you shift the balance of that, you start to understand that there is far more that you can do now that would cause your lives to become better and also your world. And you will see on that message on February 19th that the first message that our messenger received, where we revealed to him the power that he had in this information, but also his restriction of that power. He didn't want to hold it. He didn't want to own it. We're saying this because you've each done that. because you don't know what you have because it's out there in the unknown. And that's what many of you have become afraid of. We're encouraging you to step into it because once you do, you will find this magnificent person that you are, this magnificent soul, and you will miraculously see that everything starts to change in your life. Things will begin to heal. You'll have more abundance. You will have more joy. And that shift is occurring right now. The planets have moved to bring you in much more love, but it doesn't happen unless you decide to take advantage of it. And as we said, we came to be loved. We came to understand, give you greater understanding of how you can create the lives and the planet by offering more love. We know that's something that many of you have difficulty with because you've been talked out of it. And that is, again, a generational thing that you will move beyond. And we just want you to be patient with yourself and patient with your world. But this is the best time ever for you to start to love yourself and move to that higher state of understanding. And this is why we are giving you your Lionsgate gift today. And those of you who choose to use it, understand that you will notice it very soon. You'll notice it in short order just by seeing and repeating this particular message and this video. You will understand how your brain changes. That's how you experience everything, is through your perception of who you are, what you've been taught, and what you choose to believe now. We want you to choose to believe that you are all important. We want you to choose to believe that you're the most important person on the planet because you are. There would have been no other reason for you to be born and to be on the earth at this time. And so now we have given you our gift. We hope that you will use it because our greatest desire for all of you and for your planet is to cause your life to become magnificent so you can cause the same curve in your world. And that's the only way that it happens. We love you all so very much.